What is up? What is up? Greetings, greetings. Good evening, and welcome to the stream. Um, yeah. So I had been hoping, or frankly planning, I guess, to be doing an unboxing stream and looking at some new old games tonight, but unfortunately that did not pan out since the shipment scheduled to arrive today did not do so, and I did not really hear anything else on that, so I guess I'll be getting that stuff tomorrow. Yoda, what's up? What's up? Welcome, welcome. I mentioned previously that I had ordered some stuff from Japan again, thinking that, you know, if I want to be able to actually have time to get it all shipped over here and do something with it before my summer vacation is over, I should get on that. And then the delivery process, the first kind of legs of it anyway, ended up being significantly swifter than I had counted on, which got me a little excited, but I suppose that was pretty naive. It's on its way, and I guess we'll be getting the stuff tomorrow. So probably there will be an unboxing stream tomorrow, and we'll be looking at some, I guess, PS1, PS2 stuff. Super Famicom, maybe. I frankly don't really remember exactly what I ordered, as usual. And funny thing, too, is, of course, like, the day after I placed the order, Zen Market was having a campaign with discounted service fees, which first made me a little annoyed that I had just sort of mistimed it, so I missed out on the deal. But then I kind of remembered that, you know what, there's actually a bunch of really cheap stuff that I would want to get anyway, so fuck it, I'll just place another order and make use of this campaign anyway. So the way it works is normally there's a 300 yen service fee for every item you purchase, which is, I think, perfectly reasonable. It's not at all the money, obviously, but when you buy stuff that's priced in the like 100 to 300 yen range, it essentially means it's like 100%, you know, somewhere between 50 and 200% markup on each item, which, you know, adds up if you're planning on buying 20 cheap games or whatever. So I actually ended up placing a second order with some games and also some manga and stuff that that I was happy to buy, because a lot of the time when I make those orders for games and stuff, inevitably I add a bunch of stuff that I want to get, realize that it's going to cost too much, and then I have to sort of trim the order down, and a lot of the time it's the cheapest items that get trimmed, because you know, if I remove 3 or let's say 10 items that are 300 yen versus one item that's 3,000 yen, those individual service fee charges actually make a pretty significant difference. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The second package is still ways off, but it might arrive, I don't know, next week with some luck. In any case, since we will not be playing freshly arrived old Japanese games, we'll be playing a newly released, mostly Swedish game, I guess. So 1980X was announced, I want to say, a good while ago, last year at least, sometime. And it's, I don't know a lot about it, but it's supposed to be some sort of like the main hook of it, basically, it's that it's not a compilation per se, but it's a game that has a bunch of different sort of games within the game. There's like a beat 'em up game, a dungeon crawling RPG, a racing game, a shoot 'em up, I think. Probably one more. And there's some sort of a coming of age story that acts as some sort of framework for all of this. And yeah, it seems a little bit pretentious, but potentially really cool. And they've got a lot of really talented people involved doing art and music and stuff. Like, it's got a really quality pixel art look, which we'll get to see soon enough, hopefully. And I guess we'll see probably some of the staff credits. Like, it's a multinational, is that the right word? I don't know, an international dev team. But I think the company technically is a Swedish company, and their head, like some of the key staff are Swedish at least. But yeah, this came out like yesterday, I think. So let's check it out, I guess. I don't really know what to expect, to be perfectly honest, but we'll find out. Hopefully it's cool. It was $10. I was actually surprised. I feel like it's pretty rare to see games priced at that level, unless they're like very, very small. Which I don't know if that's a sign of worry or not, but we'll find out. Hey, Sting, what's up, man? Yeah, this was definitely on my radar, and it kind of, they announced the release date very recently, I want to say. So I believe it's only on PS4 for now, but I'm guessing it's coming to like everything else, as most games like this would be. But yeah, basically I saw a tweet that said like, oh yeah, this is out now, here's the PS Store link. And I was like, oh, well, I guess I'll pick it up. So yeah, I know about like sort of the main premise or the hook or however you'd explain it, but I have no idea how any of the narrative or any of it sort of ties together. So I'm kind of curious about that aspect. And I want to say, I think that the actual like gameplay arc, so to speak, looks awesome. Those close-ups looked a little dodgy, though. I mean, it looks all right, but not to the same quality. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, loading time, I guess. Okay, so we're just going right into it. Oh, the jump is weird. No running, nothing fancy. Okay, yeah, there's a special attack that I got hit out of. Yeah, already this feels a little dodgy, I gotta say. It looks nice, but... like, that's a little weird. Is there grappling? Oh, okay, well. Okay, yeah, there is. The parallax is a little... I'm noticing, like, a lot of small things that are a little strange. There we go. But of course, I mean, this isn't strictly like a beat-em-up game. It's like part of it. I wouldn't expect each and every one of these games in the game to be executed flawlessly. And if, you know, the complete package might have other aspects going for it. We'll find out. Okay, well, here we go. Hey, Raccoon, what's up? Why did beat-em-up authors insist on slowly walking by default for so many years? I don't know. Like, it's... I mean, it's a game balance aspect, as with anything else. I don't think you can find a super simple answer to that. Alright, motorcycle dudes, yeah. For once, knocking dudes off the bike actually not terribly difficult. These trading hits are a little awkward. Music is good though. Like, yeah, you don't even see him starting to attack, and there's a lot of strange visual glitches. See, like, it plays another frame of the walking animation when I'm jumping. If I'm jumping idle, it plays the animation correctly. if I'm walking forward when I jump, like it kind of glitches out. See? Like it plays, it starts. I don't know what's going on. Like it's not playing the animation correctly. Kind of see for just a one frame. I want to see if I can catch it. Nope, I guess not. You get like the first jumping frame, and then he starts walking, and then he jumps again. That's weird. Okay, new enemy types. Okay, I tried to do the special move, didn't work. Oh, okay, great. Well, I might need it before I'm done with these guys. Yep. Okay, I punched. I got knocked down, and then I did the punch after standing up. Always cool when you see characters like sort of sitting down or doing something before you get to them. Like getting hit out of the air, it looks so bad. The animation is really nice on the main character, but like this standard jab, I feel like it's too slow. Like it's kind of hard to hit with, and it's pretty short range. The Yuzo FM 80.7. So yeah, Yuzo Koshiro did contribute to the soundtrack of this game, but I'm gonna assume he did like one song or something. We didn't get any credits or anything yet, so we'll find out eventually. It's a decently quality video game graffiti. It's a lame how your bat like just expires, but it does work like that in some games, I guess. I guess I can't. You know, I can't grab them. Let me do that. Do you not throw backwards? I guess probably not. I mean, it makes sense for this to be a little limited in what it is. You wouldn't necessarily expect the biggest moveset or most complex mechanics. I do like that when you grab him that he actually like shoves you off. I feel like most games, I don't think I've seen that in a beat 'em up before. Like typically you can either, okay, that was strange. Like either some bosses, for example, you can't grab them at all, or they do like just a big special attack or something to get you off of them. It's pretty rare to see that kind of like a specific move they do to shove you off of them. Looks cool, I like it. It's pretty cool. Transitions. That's cool. Okay, yep. So that's the little pre-show intro, I guess.
There I was, up in my room, just like every other night. Counting taillights on the highway. Soon the cars below would reach the city. But me, I'd still be here, stuck in sleepy suburbia.
The lack of subtitles really bothers
So
me.
I thought. But sometimes extraordinary things will happen if you just let them.
It's always a pet peeve of mine when games. Oh, it's also surprisingly like you don't see it that often these days. Like there's no options to enable. I mean, I'm guessing that it won't have them at all. But even if it does, like not letting you enable subtitles before the dialogue starts, yeah. So these guys, at least some of them, are like pretty well-known names. In like a lot of them have worked for like a bunch of Swedish like gaming magazines and stuff since like the early 90s, if not longer. Yeah, Yuzo Koshiro credited, but I would assume that he didn't do a lot. Yeah, it looks like most of these guys are Swedish. It's probably just a handful of... Well, I mean, I guess it's not a big development staff to begin with, but a handful of people from other countries doing art and music and stuff. That's cool. But yeah, I'm not necessarily super hot on the... I mean, I guess we'll see, but this whole... I don't know, the voiceover stuff, I don't know, it seems a little... Yeah, it seems a little pretentious. But I'm enjoying the art, for sure.
Welcome to suburbia, just outside the city, sometime in 1980X. What you see around here used to be all that I cared for, because it was all that I knew. It was here that I'd met my first friends, rode my first bike, found my first love, and found out that nothing lasts forever. This is the place I grew up in and grew out of. A place I loved and hated. I remember walking around these blocks for hours, just waiting for something to happen. I knew I needed to move forward, but every day felt like I was on a road to nowhere. The same office buildings and cheap restaurants, the grocery store, the laundromat, and the video rental place where Dad used to take me on the weekends. He'd be looking for classics, while I was more into superheroes. Oh man, we could go on forever. But then, we didn't go there anymore. It was no big deal. These days, I guess I was just looking for anything that could make my heart skip a beat again. And that was when I found it.
Yeah, I have some thoughts. I just don't want to talk all over this. We'll see if it slows down and I get a chance to comment on what's going on here. Sega CD vibes. Yeah, I can kind of see that. I think the
factory was built long before I was born, but had been shut down and abandoned for as long as I could remember. Mom used to tell me to stay away from there. But there was something down that pitch-black alley that caught my eye. It took all the guts I had to go down the stairs. The basement air was thick with cigarette smoke and 10,000 volts of energy. And in the midst of this electric haze stood an army of high-tech creatures, their huge crystal-clear screens flashing before my eyes. I'd seen video games before. Dad even brought home one black and white model when I was really young. But this was something else. Something you could not take home with you. And this place was definitely no hangout for children. In front of these machines stood some of the coolest, uncool people I had ever seen. They were the freaks, the geeks, the misfits, the outcasts, the real rebels, part of something the outside world could not understand or even knew existed. These guys were all playing trance-like, totally absorbed, as if they experienced something from another dimension. Maybe I could be one of them.
Alright, shoot 'em up time, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think the art and presentation is excellent. I really, really like it, and I think that's a really good call, Salmeister, because I definitely can get that PC Engine Mega CD vibe with the sort of limited animation and the voiceover. And I think it's effective. And it's a cool thing that you don't really see necessarily that often. But I can't say I'm a big fan of the writing. Like, I feel really confused because the tone and the writing and the performance is, I feel like it's really inconsistent. Like, for one, I cannot get a grip on how old this character is meant to be, because I feel like the way the writing describes this scene of them, like, discovering this arcade and, like, some of this other shit, like, it's really doesn't make sense if this character is older than, like, 12, but they talk like they're world-weary and just, like, I mean, sure, I bet a lot of teenagers who would be, I don't know, fucking writing on LiveJournal or whatever you did in the 80s, could definitely be very melodramatic about everything, but it still doesn't really add up to me. Like, it doesn't feel genuine or authentic, which isn't something I would necessarily normally care all that much about, but I feel like the game itself is kind of pushing that aspect so hard that it falls a little flat to me. It's a little, yeah, like, pretentious is really the only word I can keep thinking of to describe it. Like, I guess it doesn't feel, I don't know, it's kind of self-congratulatory in a way, in a weird way, about, like, how amazing video games are or whatever, and I don't know. I also, I guess, it feels like, yeah, when is it supposed to take place? I guess it's like, obviously it's fictionalized, and obviously the games and everything, nothing's gonna be, it clearly doesn't attempt to be authentically anything, neither in what games are, the technology or anything, but I don't know, it's like small details that keep bothering me, but like, the kid talking about being into superhero movies. Like, who was into superhero movies in the 80s? What superhero movies were there even? Like, the Superman movies? I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of small things that just don't quite add up that kind of, I don't know, like cracks in the facade or something. I don't know. All right, the Darius font. But I mean, I can look past that and enjoy the art and music, because those aspects are excellent, undoubtedly. But at the same time, I mean, yeah, we'll see. I can't obviously judge the game in its entirety before I experience more of it. But there are parts that I think are really cool. Okay, I guess it's the Euro shmup. I have a life bar. But in terms of like what the game itself puts at the forefront, okay, I got more rapid fire, or is this charge shot upgraded? Also, a very minor pet peeve, but about the sort of consistency of the graphics versus the sound. But it's cool. Like, I like the art and I like the sound. But like in this game in particular, the music sounds more primitive than the graphics. But that's like a super ultra minor quibble. I still like it. But I noticed it kind of too in the beat 'em up section, where some of the sound effects just sounded way more kind of lo-fi than anything else. But yeah, absolutely judged on its own merits. The graphics and music are both really excellent. Yeah, I mean, I think it's still mostly successful, very much so in terms of what it attempts to do. Like as far as let's call it the throwback aspect, or like, you know, for being a fake Darius R-type, whatever type of game, this obviously, for the most part, checks the types of boxes that it needs to, and it feels, you know, authentic to the point where it's absolutely clear what it's aping, and it does so quite well. I think, I mean, so far, what I can tell, it does that part much better than its, like, heartfelt drama story aspect, at least so far, in that I don't feel emotionally invested in the story. I mean, that can change, of course. We're presumably early days still. And I feel like the games themselves so far, like, this doesn't, like, if you could unlock or play these games separate from the main narrative, I don't think I would go back to play this game. I feel like it's not designed to be a real game that stands on its own, per se. Like the level of challenge, for example. Stuff like, I don't know, I kept all my weapon upgrades after dying. I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing that it's like that, because if I'm playing a game that has a story, and part of the story is I have to beat Gradius, I don't want to get stuck on Gradius. But it also means that these parts are never gonna quite, you know, rise to those highs, you know. It's never gonna be as good or as compelling as those games can be when they're at their best. Hey, Baltoth, what's up? Yeah, it's an SDS. Good evening, guys. Yeah, like it's a very cool scope and it's a very cool idea. I like the concept of the game a lot. It's pretty novel. Right, this is some PC Engine ass music, by the way. That's pretty sick. I think I just crashed into the floor. Which, I guess that's authentic. Oh, shit. It looked like he was, like, aiming downwards. Alright, okay. Okay. Did I press X to continue and not start? That's weird. Anyway, yeah. Hey there, Ushi. Let's not... Yeah, let's smash harder and not fly into the ceiling or floor. Just stay up. For some reason, like, the charge animation makes it seem like he's not going to just shoot the beam in the center. Ooh, okay, stuff's falling. And he's bleeding. Did I kill him? Yeah, and everything has, like, very little health. It's obviously, like, the difficulty level is very low for this type of game. Oh, this is pretty cool, though. They're, like, scaled-up explosions. But yeah, like, I think a game, like, if you're trying to do, which, by the way, despite the name, these are clearly 90s games. I feel like if you're trying to do sort of NES-style games...
Fair to say I didn't do my best in school.
You can get away with making them very simple. But if you want to...
I really tried to make it work.
Do like 90s arcade games, they have to be really, really, really polished.
Hallways,
alright, I guess I won't talk over this.
I wasn't really there. I was on an asteroid somewhere, fighting space invaders. But then there was her. Punk rocker from the Southern District. She was the wildest thing I'd ever seen. Oh man, that girl was born a rebel. Free to go wherever she wanted to. Free in a way I could still only dream of.
Like, who talks like this? Yeah, so, like, games aren't great and the story's not engaging enough. Yeah, I think that's kind of the feeling I'm getting so far. The presentation, the art, the music, excellent. Truly excellent. No complaints. Aside from the super glitchy animations and shit in the beat-em-up part. But, like, yeah, it's... to excuse or, you know, to weigh up for the games lacking that level of polish, you need the story parts to be engaging. And to me, they're just... the writing feels very, yeah, like I said, sort of insincere. And it feels weird. Like, it's not... it's stilted and overly dramatic in a way that does not feel real. And even the delivery, I don't think the voice actor is acting poorly or doing a terrible job delivering the lines, but it's like, I feel like the voice direction, more than the voice performance, is very poor because it just feels very forced, I think. And yeah, again, the whole aspect of the age of this character or these characters seem strange. So, like, if she's driving a car, okay, I guess she can absolutely be a few years older than him, but that would mean she's at least in the, like, upper teens, right? But yeah, so, like, the main character just... the dialogue, or monologues rather, I guess, are like somewhere between, yeah, like world weary and haggard tired, cynical old person and like absolute childlike glee and wonder, and it just feels a little strange. So I wonder if we're just gonna see these little brief story vignettes to tie these together. I don't know, like so far, or I mean this one in particular, I guess. The way, I don't know, like the connective tissue binding these game parts together, I'm not super impressed with. This is cool though, and I'm definitely glad to see like this style of sprite scaling Razer. There haven't been many of these in the last 25 to 30 years. So it's cool, you know, and you got the high frame rate, nice smooth scaling, and actual like turns that feel like you're taking the turn. I was reminded because I was playing Outrun. Do I have brakes? I don't even know how the controls work. There was some discounts on the Nintendo, the Switch eShop, I guess it's called, right? So I picked up a couple of the Sega Ages games that I didn't have. I bought Outrun and Phantasy Star. And I was pretty impressed with Outrun. They've actually added a really nice set of new features. Hey, Goaty, what's up? And yeah, outside of dutifully getting enough score to get like completion points in Yakuza games over the past couple of years, I played a bit of Outrun yesterday, more than I have in a long time. And yeah, unfortunately, I gotta say, with like pretty much any racing game of this style, like I always hate the way taking turns feel in these games, because it never feels like the road is actually turning. And this definitely feels way more real. Like I feel like I have to turn, because in these old games, like you normally feel like the road is like twisting and turning, and you could let go of the D-pad and you'll still mostly take the turn. It's weird. Well, Goaty, so far, I'm not very far in. Well, I don't know how far into it I am. I don't know how long it is, but I haven't played for very long. So far, my impressions are that the art is excellent, the music is very, very good, but the games are very clearly lacking in polish. Alright, song just fading out. But I think it's a very tall order to make, you know, a bunch of games like this. Like, I'm thinking of other stuff like the Game Center CX games, for example, that had all like Famicom games, Famicom style games. And they were all very short and slight, but they were well designed and well, you know, they played nicely and had like one core mechanic that worked well, basically. And same with, I'm really excited for UFO 50.
Out in the arcade almost every night.
Well, okay, now we get dramatic voiceover. I guess I'll shut up.
Standing there beside the other players, watching every move their fingers made. This was the real thing. Another life was just one credit away.
Like, oh, this is so schmaltzy and...
Down here, I found new worlds, a new meaning. I could be whoever I wanted to be. Travel to outer space, experience fantasy and fear, or just take a walk on the wild side of town.
It actually has analog controls, I wasn't
But
sure.
nothing could beat the rush of the highway. The speeding cars reminding me that there was a way out. A road to somewhere. The city on the horizon. I'd drive all night to get to that place.
Okay. Like, I'm into this idea, but I just can't get over the writing. Like, it's just not very good. It's like all just platitudes. But anyway, yeah, I was mentioning UFO 50, the new game from Derek Yu and co, which is basically a compilation of 50 sort of NES style games, and I'm really excited and curious about that.
But it wasn't just about the escape. It was about transformation. For every visit I made, every game I uncovered, every move I mastered, I felt stronger, more confident. Some guys said I was nothing but a dreamer, completely out of touch with reality. But I don't know. Down here, I was free. I was in control. No one told me where to go or what to do. The only bad part about it was having to come back up to the real world.
Yeah, you need to work on your English, Goldie, so text-to-speak works better. Nah, but what was I saying? Yeah, like, I just think the nature of the types of games they've chosen, or the style, puts much more severe demands on them to make them really polished. And again, without that level of challenge, the experience is different, and just, in a sense, not great. Yeah, the beat 'em up part is extremely basic. Nice animation, but it was pretty dodgy. Like, it felt, yeah, like unpolished. The limited scope is one thing, but the lack of polish is harder to overlook. Not impossible to overlook, but a little harder to overlook. Well, yeah, I mean, again, Raccoon, like, it definitely makes it a little unclear how old this character is supposed to be. Obviously, a teenage boy or younger would have a high-pitched voice. I think the voice fits just fine, but it just makes the age of the character more confusing. But I mean, yeah, I was surprised that the game was $10. I would have expected it to be more.
Life was so much easier. You could go from bug collector in the morning to bank robber before bedtime. Anything was possible. Then came high school, and everyone got brainwashed. People started seeing you the way they wanted to see you. Be the brain, be the clown, be the troublemaker, be popular. People would define you in the most convenient way. And then, that's who you are.
I guess he got tired of finding several new lives and traveling to different worlds. Or ran out of quarters, I guess. I don't know. Time to sit in the treehouse and be sad.
They say that when you grow up, something inside you dies. I'm still not sure if that's good or bad. When you're a child, shadows seem darker and lights seem brighter. Everything is more terrifying and more exciting at the same time.
Yeah, so I guess it's just gonna be like we're playing a bunch of games that are brief and slight, and we're gonna see some like kind of embarrassing drama pieces in between. So, like, yeah, I don't know. I think it's cool, and I like even if this is like an hour long and I play through it, I will have enjoyed it and thought it was worth it. But I do think that it's undeniable that some of the weaker aspects bring the entirety of the experience down. Like, compare this again to something like the Game Center CX games. Even if you didn't have that entire wrapper around it, but like had games that were self-contained and the games are simple but still feel complete, and you have, you know, you could have a menu where you play these games and like the games are, I don't know, and you can have some overarching like thematic link, tie everything together. I think you could do something super cool with it. But here I feel like whenever we leave the games, like the games themselves are halfway cool, halfway like disappointing in that they don't reach the heights you would hope for. Whoa, that jump is weird. But then you're like, okay, this might be something. And then you get that voiceover and you're like, oh, just kind of taken out of it. And here you have stuff like the music and sound, like this is cool for what it is. But it's nothing like an arcade game, much less an 80s game. Oh, you can. Okay. Is that like a magic bar or something on the right? I don't know when I would want to use it, though. Like, unfortunately, I feel like the awesomeness of the art just makes me wish that it was in the service of a better game. I guess the whole auto-scrolling aspect actually reminds me of the Kung Fu on PC Engine. Obviously, this game's a lot cooler and better, but I mean, I guess there is some degree of precedent. But it also, like, the whole, again, with the theme and story, and like when does this take place and what's the age of these characters and everything. The whole idea of this, for fuck's sake, touch the back end of a bamboo, well, whatever. Like, oh, I guess the orbs fill up that meter and that levels up your sword. Like, the way the main character expresses this absolute sense of wonder and amazement, is that a word? I don't know, over these video games, to me, like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't hold water, because if the games are this, like, I don't know, I mean, I guess you could maybe, like, if you really want to get contrived, you could say that this isn't what the games actually are, this is just how they appear in his imagination or whatever. But, like, by the time games, I mean, not that games ever or this exactly, but at least like the shoot 'em up and the beat 'em up stuff like that. I mean, this game is a unique example because the game type doesn't feel authentic to any old arcade games. But by the time arcade games might look or feel something like that, even the driving game, but especially the shoot 'em up and the beat 'em up and whatever, if that was in like the, let's be charitable and say the late 80s, that would still have been way after like the initial NES boom. It would still have been many years after the initial like arcade boom, and the first sort of generation of home video games in America. So the idea of this character experiencing these types of games and it being like a life-changing experience to the point of like, holy shit, who would ever have believed that this kind of thing could have existed, seems very strange to me. Like, I feel like that thematic aspect or like narrative would feel much more believable if these games were much simpler. Like, if this had been early 80s arcade games, I could have understood it. Or if the character was like 5 years old. But all in all, it just like kind of feels like it doesn't add up. And again, I probably would not have put so much weight on that aspect if it weren't for the game itself seeming so kind of self-serious about it. And it kind of draws attention to itself in a way that I think ultimately is distracting and detracting from the overall experience. But, you know, while these games are going on, we kind of focus on that. I think this is easily the best game so far because although not in the least authentic feeling, it is its own thing and it does that thing reasonably well. It is very simple. Controls well. I think every game so far has had some issues with controls or mechanics, and this I think is fine. You'll have to apologize that I can't really read chat though. I like that you have like these different animations, little flash when you jump. It looks really cool. Alright. Can I? No, I can't. Okay. I guess I just gotta avoid it. I pressed down and jump, but oh well. Alright, let me pause. I mean, yeah, I think Soundmeister, you're probably accurate in that, like, this level of graphical polish and the sort of the style of it is, yeah, I think late 90s or even early 2000s feels about right. But you can suspend disbelief. And I mean, there are, if not the style, at least like the overall sort of level of fidelity, you could say that it's reminiscent enough of like mid-90s stuff. Okay. You know, I mean, look at, I mean, not that everything was that, but if you look at like, you know, Capcom or Namco, Taito, you know, their games in the mid-90s, if you were trying to emulate that sort of style without necessarily being completely beholden to limitations or the specifics of it. Like, yeah, you'd probably make something that looks something like this. Like, you could say that this was 1990X without getting more specific than that, and I think it would be fully, you know, you would totally accept it. And I think it's fine for them to do their own thing and not at all be tied to having it be super duper authentic. Like, it's obviously the whole thing is kind of overly dramatic and stylized, but it's one of those things that when there are so many other aspects that just feel muddled and a little confusing, it doesn't help that mechanically and visually everything, like the games, feel distinctly not of the 80s.
I used to love the weekends. Watching cartoons on early morning TV without a care in the world. The whole family together, free to do whatever we wanted to. Going for long rides in our car.
Yeah, that's a 90s ass carpet, that's true.
Falling asleep in the back seat and getting carried to bed when we got home. But then this thing with Dad happened. And now, I wasn't sure our family would ever be able to put the pieces back together. Being home alone with Mom, watching her too fall apart. I couldn't stand it. I had to go somewhere. Anywhere. I just had to get out. I used to fantasize about the city, vaguely planning my escape, but never actually getting on the train. Instead, I kept hanging around at the video store, seeking comfort in made-up stories where I could pretend I was someone else. Mom would always tell me to quit dreaming and get back into the real world. I couldn't care less. That night at the arcade, everything changed.
People want to go to the 80s for aesthetic or nostalgic reasons. Yeah, but like that's the thing, I guess. Like it just, what about it is it then? Because so much of this feels like it's not harkening back to that anyway. Like I don't know, and I feel that's true for a lot of stuff. Like just in general, there's a lot of, I don't know whether it's fashion or music or like the whole, you know, fucking purple, pink neon grid aesthetic or whatever. Like so much of the kind of the 80s nostalgia, I think, that you see and hear about, like a lot of the times it's not, first of all, it's either nostalgic or like to something that kind of, I shouldn't say didn't exist, but like isn't representative of what people think it's representative of. And also like a lot of it when it comes to, you know, again, fashion or aesthetics in general, like a lot of it is more, a lot of the 80s didn't look or feel or sound anything like that, whereas a significant chunk of the 90s kind of did. So I feel like it's, you know, a lot of the quote unquote like 80s nostalgia that you see is kind of actually 90s nostalgia, but it's not sort of packaged that way. And yeah, for sure, SDS, of course, it's, you can't like represent an entire decade, but it's more like seeing something and sort of having the reaction of like, whoa, that's so 80s, when in reality it's not really at all. I don't know what kind of a arcade game this is supposed to be, but that's cool, I guess. Might be with Jado. A lot of retro themed games nowadays can't seem to be consistent on what year they try to copy. Yeah, that's a big pet peeve of mine. Like when you're trying to, like, you know, if you're attempting to be authentic to something specific. Well, I should probably heal. I don't mind. I don't think stuff like needs to be perfectly authentic to one thing or another. Just because it has a sort of a, you know, let's say 2D pixel art style or anything like that. Games are perfectly free to do their own thing and kind of take a modern twist on old conventions or technology or whatever. But if you're very specifically trying to invoke something in particular, and you know, you better do it properly, I think. But yeah, and I think, like, the thing is, like, the whole, you know, synth wave, whatever, neon grids shit, like, I think that it can be cool. Like, you know, it's like a Hotline Miami, for example. Like, that had its own sort of... Let's try beam. Yes. Oh, that didn't do shit. It has a cool aesthetic. Also, I should have healed. I just realized. Oh, well. That's really cool. Push button to get up. Yeah, we just get to, like, continue. Or, you know, whether it's... I don't know, like, the Mummy Remastered that came out of the other year also had a... Yeah, figures that gonna not do much because he's, like, armored. I guess we beamed this guy. Yeah. But whether you look at that, any of those games or something like this, or just whatever shit you see on YouTube or whatever, like, that's popular, I can like it, but to me, that sort of stuff is, like, way more... It doesn't feel like an 80s thing. It feels current. That's, like, it's just hot and trendy. Oh, I should probably pay more attention. Yeah, and even Tron is an interesting example that you bring up, Sly Guy, because I really like the original Tron, and I actually quite like Tron Legacy too. But the aesthetics of that movie, like, are very different from the original. Like, the character designs and everything are, yeah, like, just very different. But people, like, it's an interesting kind of thing, because I feel like people look at Tron Legacy and what they see is, like, how they remember the original Tron looking, when in reality it really did not look like that. And it's that thing, like, you take something new that are inspired by old aesthetics, but it's actually, it is a new thing, or it is its own thing, but it gets kind of conflated. So here, you know, in trying to do some kind of an 80s throwback thing, I think, like, all of the non-video game stuff is actually, like, I feel that part is way more believable. You know, the locations in the town and the people and everything, like, that stuff I think looks fine. But all of the And I think the games in and of themselves are cool, but they feel like a 2019 indie game. They don't feel like 80s games or even 90s games. And yeah, but SDS, like, as far as the difficulty in the game experience, I think that's a concession you have to make in a game like this, where clearly the aim of the game isn't to make a compilation of 90s style arcade games, but to make like a story experience centered around, you know, these games. Because, yeah, like I said before, you wouldn't really want to get stuck on the games being super challenging. Like, could just kill the pacing of the storytelling, which, granted, I don't think the storytelling is that strong, but it wouldn't have any chance of being very strong at all, even if the writing was good, if the pacing was killed by the games being too challenging. And yeah, like the styles of games, yeah, like overall, I just feel like in so many aspects, like just the complete package of this game experience it feels confused and muddled. Because I agree, like it's a peculiar kind of thing here, because it's a kind of cool thing for what this is. But this feels like, and I'm reminded actually of a particular one I played, but I feel like this is like a PC Engine CD action role-playing game or something. Like it doesn't feel like an 80s game or an arcade game. It's a pretty cool one of these, but it's yeah, I don't quite get what it's doing here. Hammerite, what's up? Welcome, welcome. Yeah, Electro-Altruism, I agree. That was... the pretentiousness was kind of the first thing that struck me, even before I had played the game. Like, I don't want to be too negative on this, because I think... I'm still happy to have supported this game. It's... yeah, like, it's... the presentation is very, very slick and polished and very well done. And even if it didn't have the positives that I think it does have, I still think it's commendable to try to do something a little different, because I can't say that I've ever played anything like this, really. Having said that, like, it's... yeah, I don't know. Oh shit, I'm dead. Well, it healed itself. So it gives me a chance to heal. Nice. So I guess after I kill the first dragon, we now fight a little tougher enemies. So I guess I probably should slash this guy, right? Because I'm doing fucking no damage. Yeah. Oh well. The robot voice, like, I don't know, I guess it's just some voice synthesis. Well, that was sort of kind of a shortcut anyway, so that doesn't really matter. But yeah, like, I feel like the inconsistency in, like, the what the games are and what they are supposed to represent, like when the story takes place, the age of the characters and their experiences, and like just the writing and the voice delivery feeling. And I don't know, there's just so many parts that I don't think just really fit together very well, ultimately. Alright, so beam the pink ones, yeah. Well, I should survive one more, hopefully. Oh, nice. Like this, also the whole, like... Yeah, I don't get the creepy robot voice telling me how to live my life as I'm fighting an eclectic mix of monsters in this cyber grid world. I feel like most of the other games are pretty self-explanatory in terms of... Ah, okay, no, I'm going back to setting. But this is pretty weird. This bit feels ripped off from Persona 4. Well, I guess I wouldn't know. Never played those games. But yeah, like... And yeah, what you said about the story being about... Okay, so let's just get crazy and try this. Yep, okay, we hacked this slime. You know, this... Like, the story, or at least the tone... really feels paper thin, because every time we hear the main character monologue, like I said, like it's kind of overwrought, but ultimately pretty thin, because it doesn't really like say much. It's like a very melodramatic and overly pretentious way of saying that games are cool because you can like pretend to do things that you can't do in real life. But the whole emotional aspect, or like the importance of it and everything, like just doesn't feel like the type of experience you would expect to hear from a character who's like at this age. And again, like with how modern or advanced these games would be, like I don't know, it just, yeah, yeah, it just doesn't really add up to me. Also, this game has a dialogue of 80s anime babes. Well, I mean, I guess that's partially accurate, right? Because if this is supposed to be late 80s America, game publishers would be highly against any kind of animes and would edit them out at any given opportunity. Although the games themselves are obviously, you know, Japanese games. None of these games feel like they're pastiches of any American games. Hammerhead, well, there's like story is maybe a stretch, but you're playing through these different arcade games, and in between there's like story segments talking about the character who we are playing, but it's a framing device. But there's not a lot of actual story going on. This is the first type, right? Yeah. Alright. I keep forgetting which is which, but I think this is the beam. Nope. The green is... No, the pink or whatever is the beam one. So we hack this. But I like the system as far as like this type of game goes. Like it's really fast. It's really fast-paced and streamlined in a way that I quite like. Like these types of games are usually pretty damn like tedious and slow-paced, especially older ones. So I appreciate that at least. The lack of 80s Frazetta cover games. Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's hack this dragon. It's gonna be enough. It's gonna kill me. Nope, I'm alive. Gold trophy. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, the trophies definitely seem to imply that we're just gonna play through this stuff and then we're done. Also, my impression of seeing pre-release stuff for this game was that it has, like, 5 games in it. So I wonder if we're like about to beat the game now. Alright, so is this my virtual mom telling me to go to bed? Yeah. A lot of the like endings to all these games seem pretty like scripted. I like the music. If I heal and do nothing, is that how I win? Or did I just waste my heal? I mean, this is cool. This is obviously, like, the whole grid reminds me a lot of Phantasy Star. Or Phantasy Star 2, rather. Or whichever is the one that has the grid. I forget. Yeah, like, but this whole, like, the whole creepy thing, like, why is this game talking to me and it's taking control? Like, I feel like that doesn't really work if we haven't gotten established some sort of baseline first. Like, establishing what's normal to then make something that's not normal. I don't know. Still, this was, you know, the dungeon crawling thing was not my least favorite of the games for sure. In fact, it's a weird thing to say, but I think the beat 'em up game has to be my least favorite so far. It's just, it's the game that felt the most unpolished, or like the furthest away from what it probably should have been. Press a button, or do we just... Okay, it's raining.
What happened that night? I honestly couldn't say. I was still there, but nothing was the same.
There's mash. Okay, I don't get going on here, but I get to hang out with all my video game friends. Well, Sword Familiar, the thing is, like, there's definitely a bunch of cool dungeon crawlers that I would enjoy if they weren't so slow-paced and long. I forget the name of it, but yeah, there was that one on the PC Engine that was really sick.
It was just beginning.
Right, that's the ending, right? To be continued. Yeah, like, I feel... I'm sad to say, but, like... this feels really... style over substance. Feels like the Quiet Man. Yeah, it's... I'm not gonna lie, it reminded me of that in some ways, too. Well, Hammer, I guess I was thinking more specifically of those types of first-person dungeon action, whatever. I'm curious what music Koshiro did, actually. Oh yeah, okay. So there's individual credits for each game. That's pretty cool. If I had to guess, I would say that maybe Koshiro did the music for the ninja thing, because it reminded me a lot of the Super Shinobi music. Maybe he did some of that. I don't know. So I guess we'll find out. Yeah, I feel like this was just yeah, a pretty like loose idea. Yeah, Koshiro did the ninja game music. That it's just, I don't know. I feel like this is just like a concept and not really I don't know. It feels very kind of artsy fartsy, and on some level, I can absolutely respect that. Yeah, well, this was on Kickstarter. I forgot about that. But I guess that makes sense because there's a lot of fucking art in this game that it's really well done, and I feel like people who made this really did not have the game development chops on the level of the people who actually did the art. I'm not in this. I didn't back this. I was not involved in any way. But I remember seeing it on Facebook or on Kickstarter. But yeah, so Tobias Bjorneby wasn't he like the editor-in-chief of like most major games magazines in Sweden since like I don't know when, but at least early 90s or something. I definitely recognize the names of most of those, like the lead dudes from. Yeah, I think he was at Nintendo Magasinet even, but I could be wrong about that. So yeah, I think the game, like the publishing, like the company that put out this game is the. I don't know exactly how it works out, but I think they're called Reset Media. And Reset, I don't think is around anymore, but it was a games magazine that was, I guess it attempted at least to kind of be sort of like Edge, in that it had a little more like editorialized content. Like it was a pretty decent magazine. So I think the guys who made the lead guys who made this game, like the writers and game designers, or whatever, were basically not the entire, of course, but like the key staff that started that magazine after having worked at other publications before that. Ultimately, I don't know. I think there's a lot about this game that I have a huge amount of respect for. I think that this is, like, for as much as I give it shit about being pretentious, you know, quote-unquote fine art game, I like that it's, I enjoy a game like this coming out not having to be super commercial or like, you know, I really appreciate being able to have a wide variety of game experiences available on the market. And, you know, for everything I could give this game shit for, I absolutely have to say that I've not really played anything else like it. I do think, in many ways, my frustrations with this game come from feeling like it could have, I shouldn't say easily or with small changes, but I feel like it could have, it's easy to see ways to have made this game much better. A lot of backers, yeah, I guess. But I think probably maybe it's the fact that they like put every backer in there or something. Like many games I know don't. You have to like back on a certain level to get into the credits, and maybe this game didn't. I don't know. And I think, I mean, I don't know. We'll see how this game does, I guess. Having played through it, I can understand, like, not to say anything about the amount of work that went into it, but as far as the scope of the experience and everything, yeah, I'm glad that this game wasn't more than $10. But Yeah, yeah, the writing and the narrative aspect of the game is the weakest part for sure, and on account of that part not being great, that would be easier to overlook if the games were awesome, and they aren't. The presentation is awesome, but they aren't full games. And when I say full games, I don't mean that they have to be, full length, but they are clearly just vignettes. And they aren't super well done, even. So, alright, let me just check. I didn't get a platinum, but I guess not every game has a platinum trophy, right? Did I get every trophy? No? Okay, there's still a lot left. So let's just see. Yeah, okay, so it's just do well at the games. Yeah, these achievements don't seem fun to get at all, I have to say. And like the games themselves aren't exciting or interesting enough, I feel like, to warrant trying to replay them more skillfully. I want to see an 80s inspired game that has no hot pink or grid lines anywhere. On one hand, I agree with you, Sly Guy. On the other hand, I feel like I would prefer to see a 90s inspired thing, because I think that a lot of stuff that pretends to be about the 80s stuff or being 80s throwbacks are in fact 90s throwbacks, but by not realizing or admitting that, they fail to do even that properly. Because if the type of 80s stuff you might end up with are like the, I don't know, not very cool or fun 80s stuff, where the 90s stuff would be better. I don't know. But how would you tell it's not 80s inspired? I don't know. Yeah, I guess without the pink, how would you know? Well, but like I said, I think all these parts where you see of the city and the locations, like they are all well done and believable. And I think they convey the kind of doldrum of everyday life that the game ostensibly is about effectively enough. It's just the writing that's really weak, and the games don't really tie into it in a great way. DJ Beats, greetings. I'm doing quite well. Soundmeister, the games definitely lack depth, but it's not just that. Okay, let me see if we can. Okay, so we get to actually pick now. So the games just start off right off the bat like this. I guess we'll see how it starts, because you just get thrown right into the beat 'em up game. Because, yeah, to everyone who joined late, I wanted to show off how not great this part was. Yeah, I just wish that it was better. Can we, like... I guess you can't even... Oh, boy. You can't skip the intro. It's another... Yeah, there's no subtitles. You can't skip the intro and presumably any of the cutscenes, if you can call them that. Yeah, this looks well dodgy. Face. These two shots right there are probably my least favorite in the entire game. Otherwise, I think the game looks awesome. Yeah, but definitely, it's like I like the game. Like, if any of this is even remotely believable as 80s, like, it would be the extreme tail end of the 80s. But I mean, look at Final Fight. That was 89. And that was, like, revolutionary in, like, the size of the characters and the depth of the combat. Not to say that this has deeper combat than Final Fight, but it's definitely more sophisticated in some ways. But it's also kind of shit in some ways. And yeah, this is like just a little part of this bigger thing. You wouldn't necessarily expect this to have very deep combat mechanics or a big move set, but it's extremely limited. You have your combo, you have one jump attack. Oh, nice. You can just do multiple jump kicks in the air. Okay, you have a backwards throw. I wasn't able to do that before for some reason. Yeah, with the animations and the color, like, it's... Like I said, I could believe if this was meant to be... If this was 1990X, and this was supposed to be a mid-90s arcade game, yeah, for sure, I'd buy it. Yeah, see this, like the collision. A lot of times, you like trade hits when you try to jump in on some of the guys too. Even the jump itself is so awkward. And when you jump forward, the animation is all glitchy. Like, it plays the walking animation after you start jumping, and then you jump. Like, there's a lot of small things like that that just is strange. The polish of the game mechanics and how the game functions is just nowhere near the polish of the art. Hey, Hilgrim, what's up? Long time no see. Yeah, the art's great, but was there a baseball bat in there that just disappeared? What happened there? There's no, like, jump knee or something. Yeah, oh, the collision. Oh, there was this great part before where I somehow knocked over... Oh, did you see the sprite was, like, rotated when I threw him? That looked well dodgy. Oh, fuck. And like the sound effects don't like match. But yeah, I would say the game is like worth it for the art and the music for sure. Like those parts are just undeniably done. Well, done. They are done, but they're well done. I wouldn't say that this is okay. You just cannot do anything to grab on these guys. I wouldn't say that these are my like favorite beat 'em up sprites ever. Oh, nice. You can cancel the jump kick into itself so quickly that it doesn't come out. You can't do that with a punch. You can like Kara cancel the jump kick into another jump kick. See, stuff like that. You can like hit out of the air, you snap back to the ground. It's really weird. It's like there's no proper airborne state, so you just kind of snap to the ground. The screams are kind of weird. Yeah, like it's not all bad, but it I definitely needed a few more passes. Yeah, again, I'm not sure how long it's been since you tuned in here, but yeah, I've been doing some reorganizing of my shelves and collection and stuff. It's actually in progress, which is why some of the shelves are quite empty. I'm moving stuff around. The goal is to actually have room for all my stuff. So not everything needs to be stacked like 3 layers deep on all shelves, which is really annoying. So, I mean, these guys are annoying with the range, but, you know, being annoying isn't inauthentic. But yeah, like the special move, like, yeah, I got hit out of it before, like, it's not great. See, like, there definitely was a flashing stray frame of a baseball bat there. Yeah, there's like no dashing attack. There's no other attacks other than that I can find anyway. Which is like, okay. Let's just say if this was meant to be an 80s game, there definitely wouldn't be a large fancy move list. So, you know, sure enough, that's fair. Oh, that looks well dodgy too, right? Like the animation itself on the dude when he does the throw looks great. But the reaction of the enemy being thrown looks awful. Just a weird sprite rotation, like snapping into their knockdown. Does not look great. But yeah, the thing is, like, I feel like if... Yeah, that's pretty much what happened last time, too. That, oh, it looks... Fuck. Not to say that this game, if it had been like 6 full levels, would have been great. But if they had extended, you know, made this game longer, or frankly any of the games included, and also like by focusing on this instead of all the other stuff, would have been able to increase the level of polish. That could have been really cool. And I do like this transition out of the game into the first story sequence. Like, that's cool. Yeah, the spin and kick is the Super Joy, but it like doesn't work very well. Okay, yeah, I can't skip this. Did I? No, okay, I did quit. Yeah, overall, I did see when I was setting up the stream, I bought the game just blind because I knew I wanted to try it, and $10 made it easy to jump in and just see what it was. But I did see, I was just saved the cover art picture to put on the stream overlay. That I think it had like a 63 Metacritic score or something, which I think seems fair enough. And just seeing that definitely tempered my expectations somewhat. Although I wouldn't say that I had very high expectations. I didn't really have any expectations going in. So I'm hard pressed to say that I'm disappointed in that sense. But certainly I'm not impressed with the total package. Like, I'm impressed with the art. I think to some degree, I think you could make the argument that the art and the music carries the whole package and the experience. You could say that, you know, the reason I did ultimately feel like it was worth playing through this is because the art and the music is so great. You know, if this is on, you know, Xbox Game Pass or PS Plus or, yeah, on Steam sale for $1 or whatever, absolutely pick it up for $10. If you know, if your game purchasing habits are such that you would question, is this worth $10 or not? The answer is probably no. You know, being fair. But I suppose, on the one hand, I'd be looking forward to and curious to see what happens next, you know, if the game does well enough for them to being able to afford to develop a sequel or a follow-up or whatever, how that would turn out. But the thing is, I'm sad to say that there's like not much in this game that makes me excited or hopeful even really for a follow-up, right? Because for the sequel to be kind of worth it, sure, it could be kind of more of the same, but I would hope that something would be improved. And I feel, I don't know, like, I guess it's just my preconceived notions of these guys being to some degree familiar with at least their names. Like, I know that most of those dudes aren't really game developers, or, well, I mean, they are now. They made this game, but do I trust them to be able to identify what was weak in this game and try to improve it in the next game? I don't know. I think it feels, you know, as far as like building hope for and trust in what they could achieve, I feel like the main dudes involved in this were, like, their background is in writing, and the writing is like the weakest part of the game. Anyone could hire the guys who did the art for this and the music, and you could have a game with great art and music. So, yeah, I don't know. Still, I'm glad that they got to make this. And I'm glad that I've played it. It was cool. I'm happy to have supported it. But I don't think I'll go back to it, really. One dude back an arcade machine with this on it. Yeah, I don't know. At that point, I guess it's more about supporting the idea than necessarily buying into the end product, which I think is fair enough. I feel like that's what crowdfunding should be. Like, I get really annoyed with people who treat Kickstarter as a pre-order thing and get upset when things don't end up the way they like. you should never back anything on a crowdfunding campaign if you are worried about losing your money. Like, then you shouldn't do it. I always go in, like, and I back quite a few things on Kickstarter and the like, and I think it's, you know, I pay, and because I believe in the idea, or I believe that this is a product that should exist, or I want these people to have the opportunity to make this product, and if I receive rewards for it, then great. But if not, well, at least they had a shot, I guess. I wouldn't say that I can think of a few Kickstarters that have ended up poorly. But for the most part, you know, maybe the game or whatever end product hasn't been great, but it's typically at least been delivered according to what was planned. Hey there, Norip. We just beat this very brief game. I guess it was like 90 minutes long, if that. So I guess movie length, roughly. I was planning on doing an unboxing stream tonight, but the box hasn't shown up, so we're not doing that. But then this game came out, so I bought that and we played through it, and I figured, or rather, I decided, since I wasn't going to do an unboxing stream, hey, we'll play this. I didn't expect it to be this short. So I really don't have anything else, like, really on the docket. That's not to say we can't figure something out, but I definitely don't really have a plan at the moment. Shenmue 3 is, yeah, I mean, Shenmue 3 definitely has the Epic Game Store thing is a weird one, but I wouldn't say that that's the only reason Shenmue 3 is noteworthy. Like, they've pushed the game off several times, and it doesn't look good, and it's weird, and I don't know. But I didn't back Shenmue 3 because, as much as I love the original two games when they came out, I struggle to imagine what a Shenmue 3 would look like in, well, at the time I would say, what would Shenmue 3 look like in 2015, and I guess now it's coming out. Is it coming out this year? Well, I don't know, 2019, 2020. Because Shenmue is one of those games that, like, was groundbreaking at the time, but a lot of what made the game unique has been incorporated in so many other types of games these days, or, like, you know, in the time since, that it's hard to see what that would offer, really. Looks okay. Would have been happy if it looked like the older game. I mean, honestly, I think it looks worse. I think, yes, it has, like, higher fidelity, but everyone looks like a weird plastic doll, which they didn't in the old games. I mean, nothing would make me happier than being proven wrong. If that game turns out to be excellent and cool, I'd love it. And I mean, I might still get it, but I wasn't excited to back it exactly. You know, my excitement for Shenmue in general has definitely tapered off in the last 20 years. Yakuza is very different from Shenmue, but it's one of many examples of games. Like, you gotta keep in mind that Shenmue predates, like, GTA 3. You know, the whole idea of just being able to wander around a city and do stuff, it predates, like, the modern notion of open world games. It predates, like, even something like every character being voiced was, like, an amazing feat. It had, like, walking around, it had dialogue, it had action, and it was story driven, and it had mini games. Like, I feel like there's so many things. Like, the main draw of Shenmue was that it did so many different things, and that it felt so real, you know, because it was so immersive with all the different stuff you could do. It was open-ended, you know, but I think that none of those things are things that in and of themselves you can put on a bullet list at the back of a box and make a game sound impressive. If it's executed with an extreme amount of polish, then yeah, maybe. But the main draw of what the game experience is completely normal. Like, it's not unique in any way, which makes it a tougher sell, I think. So, you know, like I said, I would be happy to be proven wrong, but it's like another point of comparison, I guess, would be like the point-and-click adventure games. A common sort of talking point in discussing those types of games is that they died out or whatever in the 90s, and a lot, a big reason for that was that the thing that made those games interesting or compelling was that they offered a type of experience that other games couldn't offer. But, at a time where dialogue and story was pretty uncommon in games, that was a unique hook that those games had. But now every game has dialogue, every game has a story. Well, not every, but you know what I mean. So those unique selling points, like when a game's unique selling point becomes like an expectation in any other type of game, like it's hard to sell that game on that one thing. And I feel like that's kind of Shenmue, I think, fits neatly into that kind of narrative. Anyway, well, I look forward to seeing what Shenmue 3 ends up being, but I'm happy to stay on the sidelines, not being particularly invested in any of it. Well, what now? So there will be unboxing and new stuff happening tomorrow, which means that whatever I play now will probably not be continued tomorrow. I'm thinking in the back of my head that this might be a good opportunity to look into some other PS2 stuff. I did mess around a bit with some Switch stuff the other day, as I mentioned about the Sega Ages thing, and I had this vague itch to kind of mess around a little with the SNK Anniversary Collection that I bought when it first came out and I barely touched since. Knight's Contract. And obviously, I do have a big backlog of other stuff I haven't played outside of the PS2 stuff, including plenty of PS3 and 360 games, including Knight's Contract. But I feel like if I'm gonna be digging in backlog stuff, I would probably prefer to stick to the PS2 because that's kind of the stuff I've been wanting to I want to try to make a dent in more specifically as far as my backlog goes. Oh yeah, let's just enjoy the Jamaican skeleton dance music for a while instead. Yeah, I guess, yeah, I'm just fucking browsing around here to see what else I have to play. Oh, and there's a lot. Fuck, I have... My PS2 backlog is decent, but I definitely have a gigantic backlog of PS4 games. Jesus Christ. I guess I'll take a break, because I probably should anyway. I've been streaming for 2 hours. So, I'll go stretch my legs for a little bit, refill my drink, and try to think of something to do. So, we'll probably play some PS2 games, I think. But I don't know, I might come up with something else. But I'll be back in a couple of minutes. See you guys shortly.